Everybody, it's Lachelle. I just want to wish everybody happy Friday. I'm here solo because Andrew had some other things going on. This week has been very eventful, lots of connections, just different things going on. But because he's not here, we are going to have a guest today. It is Yemi. Yemi had me on his podcast about a month ago. And so his mission is to spread the message of educating all for inclusion and empowerment. So he is from Nigeria, and I was really impressed with the things that he's doing. And as he has joined me with being a friend and just our paths crossing, he thought that it was very exciting if we could get together on a Facebook Live. So we are going to be joining him briefly. I want to say hello to Bob, who's joining us and watching. I really appreciate your posts that you give on Facebook. It's so encouraging to have people who are doing positive things, being able to be an example for people to realize that, you can follow your dreams. You can do what it is you want to do, no matter how long it takes, just kind of charting out the right way to get there. But today we're going to be talking about fear. So Yemi is on the line, so I'm going to send an invitation for him to join us on the call. So while we're waiting for him, hey Anita, how you doing? Glad you guys could join us. He is going to be coming on momentarily. But this is a really good topic, I think, because it helps us to realize that fear is not just from where you're used to. It's not just from your background. It's not from just your gender, your culture. It's something that we all struggle with. So we're going to be talking about what are some things that we could do today to overcome our fear. Fear is something that just stops us in the tracks so much. There's so many different questions that we often ask ourselves. How do we do it? How are we going to get the team together? How are we going to work on this big, audacious goal? What is it that we can do in order to overcome our fears? And those fears, even though they're not real, they paralyze us from taking action. We start out where we are so gung-ho about doing something new that we just forget that we have the ability to be able to overcome anything that we desire that is holding us back from this fear. So one of the things I talked about a few weeks ago with Chris Salem on a Facebook Live was how you can use fear as fuel. And so when you use fear as fuel, you don't deny those triggers that come up. If I am afraid to move forward with a public presentation, well, then maybe I need to I'm trying to get him on the call, guys. So bear with me here. It's always something technical here that we have to be working on. But if I am afraid to do this speech, then I have to realize that maybe there is something to that speech that I need to be mindful of. Maybe I need to, okay, he's coming on. All right. It takes me a minute, guys. I appreciate your patience because as you can see, sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. But this is how you learn. You just got to get out of your comfort zone, do what it is that you need to do, and learn as you go. Because that's one of the things what fear does. It's like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do it right. Who is watching, or Are they going to think that I just don't know what I'm doing? So these things do happen, but you have to be able to press through it and understand that a lot of people that are watching, they may not know either. Okay. So you just got to be a pioneer, charge on through. So I feel like I'm rambling because I'm doing like trying to get him on, and then I'm trying to acknowledge who's on the call, and these little things keep telling me that he's adding, and we still aren't seeing him up here. So this is why I'm getting a little, okay, we are going to reach out again. I don't know why it's doing this. It's saying adding. This is my daughter Victoria. Say hey. See, it's saying adding, but then
where's he at?
What's
his name?
Right here. Do I click this?
Wait, X on there.
But okay. You know, this stuff really should. No, because it's live now. I feel like, you know, those little things, they tell you how many people does it take to change a light bulb. You know, something that's really simple turns into something challenging. But anyway, I don't understand what the problem is. So we're going to try one more time. And the weather, it could be the weather, because for some reason it is very windy today. And I don't know if that has something to do with it or not. For some reason, he's not able to get on here. So we are going to try this one more time. And it could be the weather, I don't know. But anyway, so we were talking about fear, using fear as fuel. So you don't want fear to stop you. Everybody has fear. I could go outside, and with it being windy, I'm afraid that a tree is going to fall. Or, I'm going to get in an accident, or something's going to happen to my kids. Or, I see an animal and I'm running, from the animal. So fear is always going to be there. But you have to be able to take some time, just a few minutes briefly, to breathe and recognize, what about this situation can I control and what can I not control? So a lot of times we don't move forward because we feel like, things are kind of overwhelming, which they usually are. So for example, if I say that I want to learn how to fly an airplane, okay? So if I want to learn how to fly an airplane, of course I'm going to wonder, okay, which airlines should I go with to kind of get my training? Um, you know, I don't know anything about a plane. How am I going to have somebody instruct me on this? How much is it going to cost? You begin to think of all these questions that are valid. However, you want to be able to write those down and be able to have some clarity about what you can and cannot control. So, hey, Caroline, how are you doing? Good to see you. So, when you have those fears, you want to be able to write everything down. You want to be able to acknowledge what they are. You don't want to go through this denial of something that really is real to you, even though it may not be real to other people. So, I notice this with my kids. If I have one that's just really afraid of spiders and everybody else is like, oh, it's just a spider, it's not even that big, you have to acknowledge that even though that may not be a fear for you, that could be a fear for somebody else. And so this is where we begin to have empathy, and we begin to understand that I may not have fear in that, but somebody else has fear in that. How can I help them overcome that? Maybe I've had a fear of spiders in the past, so I showed them strategies on how I overcame that fear. Maybe things that I told myself. I was really got a call, but anyway, I begin to tell myself that, you know what, it's okay to be afraid. Just don't let it stop you from moving forward. You can't control if a spider comes along. Hey, Tracy, good to see you. So I just learned to realize that a spider, in relation to how big I am, is so small. So this really kind of doesn't make sense for me to be afraid of it. Now, I'm not making light of people that are afraid, but I'm just using that as an example of maybe a strategy that you use that helped you overcome that fear. Good to see you too, Tracy. Can help other people overcome that fear. So I do the same thing. Like my daughter, she recently just had her first baby. So she's like, oh, mom, I'm afraid about the delivery. How did you do it? And so, you just have to learn that, I made it through. You can make it through. This is how I overcame it. And this is how you can give people strategies. Hey, Lisa, one of the things about having those strategies that's key, which I learned when it comes to coaching, is that what worked for me may not work for somebody else. But because I'm transparent to share what my problems are, it makes people feel approachable with asking me questions that they don't know the answers to, or admitting things that they're afraid of. And so that's one of the things about being able to overcome your fear about, well, I can't admit that this is a problem because people are going to think that I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, I'm going to tell you a little secret. A lot of us don't know what we're talking about. It's one of those things we learn as we go. Forgive me, guys. I'm still inviting Yemi on the call. I sent his invite. I don't know why it's not working. But and this is another thing, being fearful. It's like, oh, we have this call scheduled. Now we're having technical difficulties. So it's like, what do? You have to keep moving on. You got to keep being consistent. You got to keep doing certain things. And that kind of helps you overcome your fear. So I was expecting him to talk about fear, and now I'm talking about fear. This is something that I had to overcome just in my life and still do. There are things that I'm fearful of every day. I have big goals that sometimes I just don't feel comfortable sharing them. And I always ask myself the question, if I'm really having faith and really wanting to move forward to something big, why is it that I'm afraid to share that with other people? And I came to the revelation that, and I just had this post that I read today. It said, don't show your vision to blind people for them to proofread. Now, I think I'm messing up a little bit, but the concept is, why would you show your vision to somebody who's blind and ask them to proofread it for you? Because they can't see that vision. That's just what it's telling me. So just because you have a goal doesn't mean that you are able to share it with everybody, because other people may not be able to see that. So there's people that are on your path that they will be able to resonate with your goal when there is evidence that it is coming to pass. So if I say I'm going to get a new house and everybody's like, yeah, right, you're going to get a new house. But if I begin to meet with realtors, so they call me up and it's like, oh, I can't meet with you today. I have an appointment with my realtor. They begin to hear that I'm doing things that are moving me towards getting a new house. Then they may be able to understand, well, where are you going to live? They'll begin asking me things about this quote unquote invisible or faith driven dream that will begin to make it a reality, not only to me, but to them also. And so when they see that I am going to a closing, or I'm going to an open house, or different phases of that actual goal being accomplished, then it will begin to resonate with them and they can see. Okay, so we have Yemi on the line. I think he's coming on here. I just got an invite, so hopefully it works. But you can begin to share your dream as people are on the level that they can see your dream, if that makes sense. So I can tell somebody again, like I said, I'm moving, I'm buying a house, and they just don't understand it because they say, well, your credit's not good. Or, I don't think the neighborhood that you are aspiring to live in, it just doesn't seem like, you're ready for that. You need to probably take a smaller step and do all these different things because that's what their vision is. That is what they're limited in being able to see right now. So you have to be very careful when it comes to having a fear, because a fear is a good thing to stretch you out of your comfort zone. One of the things with fear is it helps you to not depend on things you've always been dependent on. If you want to start a business and you're used to having someone do this business with you and you're going to take the leap and do it by yourself, you can't take new chances if you're still doing the same old things. And so it is going to be scary because you don't have any kind of proof that it is working out or it will work out. It's just a feeling, a passion, a desire that you want. And you sometimes doubt yourself and wonder, is that enough? Do I need credentials? Do I need backing? Do I need people to help me? Do I need a business plan? All these different things begin to come across your mind to kind of stop you in your tracks. But fear is a good thing in order to help you level up. So you got to recognize that if I want to get more out of life, if I want to get more out of my relationships, if I want to get more out of my career, there are some fears that I am just going to have to tackle. So how can I do this in a manner that allows me to keep growing in my business and in the lives of other people? So today, I'm just going to give you one solution for fear. That's something that you can implement today and you can start it immediately. So just like we talked about earlier, where fear is a situation where you start asking yourself all these questions, you don't know all the answers. So the tip that I'm going to give you today is you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to get enough courage so that you can get started. So I'm going to repeat that again. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to have enough courage to get started. Because when you get started, you learn that the things that you were fearing, a lot of those fears were out of ignorance. You didn't know what to expect. Hey, Uncle Pumpkin, that's my uncle watching. So you didn't know what to expect. So you were just asking all kind of questions that may or may not even pertain to your situation. So if you say, I don't really know about, being an airplane pilot, I'm just kind of nervous, I'm afraid to fly or whatever. And, when you go to flight lessons, I know a little bit about this because our oldest son got his pilot's license when he was in high school. But anyway, you don't even get in the air first. You have to do groundwork. You have to learn about the plane, the parts of the plane. They're just not going to put you in the plane and expect you to fly it just on your first lesson. It is going to take some time for you to acquire knowledge and acquire a sense of confidence about being able to make decisions quickly in the air, because that's going to be a different playing field being in the air as opposed to being on the ground. So you're thinking, oh, I don't know how to fly, and it may be you sign up for flying and it's not until 6 or 7 months until you actually get in a plane and start moving it. So when you just have enough courage to get started, you realize that the things that you might have had fear about were not even an issue until you were able to have grasp enough knowledge and experience to be able to tackle the answers to those questions. So I just pray that that encourages everybody today on this Friday. Um, Remember, you don't have to have all the answers when it comes to fear. You just have to have enough courage that will get you started. And as you get started, that will give you the momentum to keep on going. So I have my little bank here. We talked about this earlier this week, the Hawaii 50 bank, um, that is for my trip to Hawaii for my 50th birthday. But this is in here I have, it says plant seeds. And so I want to do like little shout outs to people, so that I can ask them, give them recognition, things that happened to me during the week that really moved me or whatever. And so,
So,
hey, Yemi,
hey, Yemi.
I am so
I am
glad we
so
got
glad
you
we
on the
got you on the
call.
call.
Finally, wow.
All right.
All
You see
right.
how
You
this
see how this
technology works?
technology works?
In fact, I've been battling and trying to get online, and it's been like, oh my God, what's going on? And you kept talking and talking and talking. I was like, oh wow, I just have to get on this call. What am I going to do? I tried to get on
Yes.
Dexter. All this is just the fear we are talking about. I just have to
Mm-hmm.
keep going. Just keep
Yes,
going and keep going.
awesome. That is so awesome.
No, I
So
just,
tell everybody a little bit about, I'm not sure how much time you had or anything. So
uh,
let everybody know, what it is. I know your mission is to educate all people
mhm,
and inspire
mhm,
them or something, and
mhm.
empower them. So
Uh,
tell us,
hello, hello,
can you hear
everybody.
us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello,
Okay.
everybody. My name is Oluwayemi from Nigeria, and I have a foundation called Emerge where we give youth mental empowerment to
Mm-hmm.
becoming a better person for themselves and their community. You know, how you can move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to do with fighting your fears, and
Yes.
the best way to fight your fear is by taking an action. You can imagine it, you can think it, you can be like, oh, I wish, I think I should. Why don't I just be
Mm-hmm.
like Lachelle? She's always online. You're still wishing.
Thank you. I appreciate that because I don't know what I'm doing.
you're,
I love laughing at myself. Okay, because
it,
and now I have an audience.
I
I feel good because I'm not laughing by myself.
okay, yeah. Sometimes I tell myself, what are you doing? Then I'll be like, you know what? I just have to keep doing it. I don't know what's coming, but I just need to do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
It is very important for you to just ignore the fear. It is not there. You're the one creating it. But first, you need
Mm-hmm.
to identify what is the fear about.
Yeah.
Okay, is it that I think I don't have enough money? Is it because I
Mm-hmm.
think I don't have good friends? Is it because I think the way that I look? Is it about my skin color? Is it about my this, about that? We keep bringing all these things up and they don't even exist.
Yes.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just tell yourself, this is me and this is it, and I'm going to go do it. You know,
Yes.
we think about all this thing on the long run, and it gets really overwhelming. We think about it
Mm-hmm.
too much. Why don't you just the best steps you can even do now is just get your phone and Google how to become this. Is a step, is an action.
Right.
Take a note, speak with someone who can help you. You
Yeah.
can always send a message to Lachelle. She's amazing. She can always help you
Oh,
out.
thank you, Yummy.
Yeah, it is an action. That's what
Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
People we get to think like I don't have to talk to this person. They can't help me. Let me just be on my
Mm-hmm.
own. But that is
Mm-hmm.
not true. We need ourselves to grow,
I love
and that
that because this whole thing, like, I reached out to you. I didn't know you. I was in a LinkedIn group and I
yeah,
heard your interview with Nestle. And,
yeah, Ness.
she shared that with me. And I was like, I'm just going to reach out because it really resonated with me what your message was and, your focus and mission.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
so, of course I had fear, because I'm thinking, I don't know if he's, what he's going to
mm-hmm,
think.
mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
so tell us, with you having your own podcast, how is it that
Okay.
you got started? You know, there was a point where you did have fear. So how did you turn that fear into still action? Because you know, a lot of people, what were some of the
Mm-hmm.
steps you
Mm-hmm.
took?
Um, if I start with how, if I use the way I started my foundation as an example, I'll probably take a longer time. So let me just use when
Okay.
I started the podcast. Okay,
Okay.
I saw a podcast. I listened to one online and was like, this is nice. I can do this. But then again, in my mind, then the fear came of like, who do you know? Who are you? Where are you going to start from? What
Yes.
are you going to talk about? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
then I didn't just started by interviewing people. I just started by just talking. Okay, this is
Mm.
me. This is what we do, and you can do this. You can be this. I just started talking, and then I was like, okay, I open an account with
Mm-hmm.
Anchor, and that is an
Mm-hmm.
action. I open an account.
Right, right. I love
The,
that.
sec- the second
Mm-hmm.
step was, you know what? Let me even do a test run. How does this thing work? I didn't just open it, using it, utilizing. Then I
Yes.
utilized it. And after
Mm-hmm.
utilizing, I felt like, okay, you know what? This is not that bad. At least I'm not sounding like a crocodile. At least I sound okay. Even
Mm-hmm.
if, self appreciation is also important. Even if you know that sometimes you sound all, but then again,
Right.
you're
Right.
not perfect. And the next step was I just posted it online. Okay, I'm doing this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing that. Then
Mm-hmm.
Nestle was like, okay, you know what? Let's do this. When you
Mm-hmm.
have a good support system, that
Yes.
so that is what happens with speaking out. So then I had to speak out. I am doing this. Let people know what you're doing.
Yes.
Those, from speaking out, and I
Mm-hmm.
started getting this. Then fortunately, part of the last question where I say, whom would you like to invite? Whom would you want us to invite on our podcast? I think that part worked, and you've been doing amazing. Thank you so much. At least we met
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, we met different people, and people are coming. Though with the time difference,
Yeah.
we are not talking about thinking outside of the box. Although I was having this conversation with some people that thinking outside of the box most of the time gets really uncomfortable because you
Yeah.
have to do something extra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to do something extra, and it's never your comfort zone.
That's
So
good. That's good.
beating your fears is you have to be ready to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation.
That's
Because
good.
once you focus on the outcome, then you'll be like, okay, at the end of the day, this will be amazing, and you're good.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. So, when
Okay.
you had the idea of doing your podcast, did you really discuss that with anybody? Because I know for me, when I got into life coaching, this was something different for
Mm-hmm.
me. And I didn't
Okay.
discuss it in the same way that I used to with other people. You know, before I would kind of get their approval before and then take action.
Mm-hmm.
But with this
Mm-hmm.
time, I just said, you know what? I can do it. I did my research and then I just said that's what I am. You see what I'm saying? So, did you
Mm-hmm.
notice something different that you did when you decided you were going to do your podcast? Did you talk to the same people or what was your approach about that?
Okay, I am so happy that you used the word approval. Approval is a
Okay.
big problem in this world. Where you
Mm-hmm.
have to be like, I need to get an approval before someone can attest that I am okay. It is a
Right.
problem. You just have to jump. Once you
Mm-hmm.
jump, unlike before, where I have to maybe talk to this person, what do you think about? Though there's nothing wrong with that, but the way
Mm-hmm.
you ask it, if you're asking like you're not sure, and they'll probably tell you like, I don't think you're good. Maybe take some time.
Right.
You're waiting for their approval before you can make a move. But then again, when you
Exactly.
go out and be like, okay, this is what I want. Let me look for people in my field that can help me that have done it before. Asking the right people is very important. You cannot just go and
Mm-hmm.
ask a friend because he or she is your friend. If they don't carry your vision, you're so on your own. Then asking the
Right.
right. Yeah, so I had to
Mm-hmm.
ask the right. Okay, I said, you know what, guys, because I have a team that work with me. I said, guys, you know what, we need to do something extra. People are going on podcasts, and we are going to do it. I didn't say, what do you think? I said, we are going to do it. And
Right.
how can we get it done? So it's
I
more
love
like
that.
not giving a chance for negative vibe. So it's not like, what do you think?
Yes.
Should we? What if? Okay, this is what I want. How can we get it done? And be like, okay, yeah, 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 and that was it. And
I love that.
even before this conversation, in a way you gave me the questions and be like, we are talking about fears, and immediately I just said, you know what, guys, I have a question for you. How are you overcoming your fear? And they'll be like, for me, I just have to be more confident. For me, I have to get
Mm-hmm.
away any form of doubt. For me, I just have to do it. And that was
Yeah.
fun for me. And that was,
That's good. Now,
mm-hmm,
so you mentioned some people say they feel like they have to be more confident. How do you get
mm-hmm,
more confident? You know what I mean? Because it's like, a lot of times we try to search for that approval, but then we find
mm-hmm,
out, hey, this is not the way to go. This is something we want to
mm-hmm,
do. We're going to move
mm-hmm.
forward. So, how do you build that confidence? What would you suggest somebody do?
Building confidence, it's something that has to come from within,
Mm-hmm.
because it's no matter the 1,000 advice you listen to, if you do not believe, and that is the big word,
Right.
if you do not believe the word,
Mm-hmm.
then your confidence would not be filled. There is no power to confidence. Believe is the power to confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to believe that no matter my weaknesses, no matter how I am, no
Mm-hmm.
matter steps I'm taking, no matter how little it is, I am doing great. I
That's
am
good.
going to do it. I am going to move.
Mm-hmm.
Believe is what. If you don't believe, even if you tell me, even if you call a shell, what I say, I'm like, but once you have that moment within yourself, like, yes, I can, at least,
Mm-hmm.
then you move.
Right.
That is how to
That's
go.
good. That's good. Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, so
Thank
yeah,
you.
that's a good thing to bring up. Yeah. So, one of the things with believing, and that's good, is about, believing, explain how we can believe about something that is, we don't have any evidence for right now. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
want to do your podcast, you've seen other
Mm-hmm.
people do it. So how do you believe when you don't have any proof? What is it that you tell yourself or your routine that you do so that you can continue to move forward? Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense what I'm asking?
Yeah, yeah. Like, how did I get to believe in myself to do it? Right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, using my life, using myself as an example, people get to tell me, I think you're good at this. But for some reason, I'll be like, I am not sure. I am
Mm-hmm.
not sure. I think you can do this. People look at some people and tell them that you should have a YouTube channel, you're good. Or you should have a
Mm-hmm.
fashion line, right? Or you should have, and they keep telling you this, but for some reason, you be like, so because I'm dressing well, does that mean I should own a fashion line? So
Right.
aside from the believing, you need to put yourself in that position, or else you would never know if whatever they're saying is true or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You
That's
need
good.
you need to you need to put yourself in that position, because you will never know. You will never know your level of
Right.
confidence. You need to put
Mm-hmm.
yourself in that position. So after hearing all these things, even before the podcast, I had to put myself. I had to be like, you know what? Okay, let me just rewind a bit. There's something that is very important, that we need to understand what failure is actually.
Okay. Okay.
We just need to see failure as what it is. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't take corrections, then you become a failure. Failure is just there to let you know that, see, this is wrong. Are you going to correct it? Yes or no? If you correct it yes, then you're going to get better. If no, then you become a failure.
Mm-hmm.
That is failure does. Now,
That's good. Mm-hmm.
knowing that,
Mm-hmm.
having that, you need to believe and put yourself in a position of believing that you are better, you're good, you can do this. So whenever you fail, just know that go back, reflect, correct, try again, go back,
Mm-hmm.
reflect, try again. Because if you don't make a move, you will never know.
I like that. Yeah. And, that's one of the things, I even just try to eliminate failure altogether and just
Uh-huh.
say that it's feedback. To me, that's a more positive word because it reminds me
Feedback,
that
true.
you see what I'm saying? It's like I'm on a
Mhm,
journey and I'm learning that, okay, that way didn't work, or I'm doing experiments, I'm trying things, which is a
mhm,
different way. And my expectation is to learn what works and what doesn't work. So feedback
mhm.
lets me know, hey,
Feedback.
based on what I'm learning,
Mhm,
this is not good or this is good, because
mhm,
sometimes even that word failure, we embrace, oh, it's going to be
mhm,
negative. And, if
mhm,
you have that outlook from the beginning, that can
mhm,
stifle your creativity or,
mhm,
your ability to think that you can overcome certain challenges,
mhm,
just from the very beginning. But I like the way you put that because we have to get
mhm.
feedback, make corrections, and keep on moving. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Yep.
it. Mhm.
Yep. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the call today. We didn't have anybody
Sorry,
asking us any questions or anything. Yeah. You have anything you want to kind of summarize and say for anybody watching?
uh, I apologize for coming late. That was due to
Oh,
some
you're good.
glitches. That
Hey, you're in
was due to some
Nigeria.
glitches.
We understand, okay? It's late there. It's like
Mm,
7, and here it's only 2 o'clock.
mhm,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
mhm, 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 mhm. So what I just want to say is, as regards fear, overcoming fear, because when you think you're only good at one thing, maybe you're good
Mm-hmm.
at dancing, for example, and
Mm-hmm.
they tell you that you need to try something new, and you just tell yourself that I don't think I can do that. I'm only good at dancing. We
Mm-hmm.
limit ourselves because we are afraid of leaving our comfort zone, and we don't want
Yes.
to overcome. We want to be that a dancer. You can be a
I
dancer
see.
and be a writer. You can so
Mm-hmm.
overcoming fear. It is that seeing things differently, knowing that you're
Mm-hmm.
built to be a lot of things. You're not built for one thing. So you just
I
have
like
to
that.
ask the right people, the right questions, check things
Mm-hmm.
out. Start. Don't compare. Never compare, because if once you start comparing yourself, you feel like, because people hardly tell um, the setbacks they get before they reach a goal.
Mm-hmm.
They just tell you,
Mm-hmm.
hey, yeah, congratulations, and I'm here. But they won't tell you, I had to, be up like 5 hours at night. I had to sleep for 2 hours. This. Few
Right.
people about that. And I think it's very important that influencers start really communicating that the journey of their success, including the feedback, not to use the word failure, like you said, the
Yeah.
feedback, the setback, this and the that. So with that, people will
Mm-hmm.
be encouraged and want to see
I
life
like that.
differently. And yeah, so that's all I have
Mm-hmm.
to say.
Well, that is awesome. Well, we wish you the best on your podcast. You're doing great things.
Thank you.
Love your
Thank
mission. Is
you.
there anything new that you're working on right now that you want to tell everybody?
Honestly, the new thing now is I think you kind of originated it. I spoke with
Mm-hmm.
Pastor John. Yeah,
Oh,
it was
great.
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 Yeah, we spoke, and he was telling me how he would want to expand all over, expand to Africa, expand to Nigeria, and work on
Oh.
upcoming projects. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to working with him, and so that would be
Awesome.
fantastic. Yeah,
Well,
don't
hopefully
worry,
I'll be
you'll
able to
be
come and visit you. Okay.
absolutely. It is a big place. You're
Yeah.
welcome. You're welcome. I
Yes.
appreciate this moment. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I'm
You know,
glad you reached out. Just another thing, you just reached out. You made a comment on one of my posts and we set it up. So, you guys got to get out there and just overcome those fears, take action, like you said,
mhm,
because you just never
mhm.
know
Absolutely.
what the outcome can be. Yeah. Well, thanks so
Absolutely.
much, Yemi.
Absolutely.
It was good seeing you.
Thank you.
Okay, you
You
have a good
too.
weekend, okay?
Bye. Take care. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.